Hi, my name is Kelly, and this channel is Lacy Threads Upcycled. This channel is the channel that we're going to be making clothes that we like, that fits us, out of clothes we find at thrift stores, Goodwill, yard sales. I like to take curtains, just anything, and turn it into something that we like to wear. But this week I've been working on geese clothes for geese, and I thought I would show how to make this very basic goose dress. This is the plastic goose that you can get at Amazon, and I will put the link down below. I think you can also get it from I'm gonna say Miles Kimball. I'm not quite sure about that, but actually, Amazon was the cheapest by the time I looked at the shipping and everything. So just so you know, this is a 23-inch goose, and they're also making the concrete geese about the same size. So this fits the concrete geese or the plastic goose. Now you'll see that it's very loose, but it's snug around the neck, so it will fit even a larger goose, and it just slips right off the head, just like that. Just very easy. Just slip on, slip off, slip it on over the head, tidy the fabric, and you got a really cute dress. So we're going to get started. Now, all you need for this particular dress is a yard of fabric, a half a yard, sorry about that, a half of yard of fabric. Or you can even use a skirt. I made one yesterday out of a skirt, and I'll show you that here in a bit. So we're going to get started. So I have some fabric here, and I think I have 2 yards. So it comes like this. The first thing I always do when I start anything is I iron it. And I've already ironed this. I wanted it to be very nice and smooth, and that will really help even though this doesn't matter, it will really help your outfit, whatever you're making, lay much better. So I'm going to lay this out. This is such a simple pattern. So I'm going to lay it out the way it is, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure the end is straight. So I'm going to cut off the very end, just to make sure that I have a straight corner here, a straight edge. Now, I'm not one of those people when they sew that everything has to be particular. I want to enjoy sewing, so I kind of just roll with it. If you are a very particular sewer, then you may not like the things that I do, but I like to have fun, and I want to enjoy my sewing. So we have a straight edge now. So what I'm going to do is, the width of the dress, the whole way around, is your width of your fabric. So I think usually it's like 45 inches. This one, let's see, it is, yes, 45 inches. So that's going to be how round our dress is going to be. So we've got it laying out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down 15 inches. So I'm just going to put a mark here. My pen to working. I'll mark over here. 15 inches. And then I just lay this. I lay my straight edge on the edge of the fabric here, so I can make sure I have this straight. And then I'm just going to make a line. Like I said, this is very easy pattern. Cut it. Now this right here is going to be our dress. This piece of fabric. I have extra here. Fold this up. Okay. So this is going to be our dress. The first thing I do, I always start at the top. And I, as you can see with this other one I made, I haven't finished the bottom. I know some people go ahead and do their bottoms. I like my bottom very neat around, And so in my seams, I want my seams to line up. That is one place I guess I'm a little particular, is the bottom. Okay, so we're going to start with the top. I'm going to cut this extra, the selvage off. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take, I have a serger, so I'm going to serge this top, just this top. But if you do not have a serger, what we're going to do is you're just going to take it and fold it under. This is so you don't have a raw edge when we fold it for a bigger seam. So you're just going to fold it under just like a 1/4 of an inch, or just about like that. And then just sew, we're going to sew a straight seam all the way down, all the way. Now I don't pin it, I don't measure it. As you can see, this is not pinned or measured. This is just sewn. I just use my eyes and where I think it should be. So we're just going to sew it down all the way. All the way. Just keep folding that down, that top piece, just down that 1/4 of an inch. And then we'll come back. Okay, now that I have my seam, I didn't serge it. I went ahead and sewed it down because I want to show you just like. So here is the seam, just the 1/4 inch. I've sewn it all the way across. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same top edge and I'm going to fold it down about, let's see, about 2 inches. So I'm going to fold this down about 2 inches, and I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to get it set and go with it. So I'm going to fold it down about 2 inches, and then I'm going to sew that down at the 2-inch line. Just sew that down right there, all the way across. So it's folded down 2 inches, and you've sewn it down. So that's what you do next. Okay, now your dress in the back should look like this all the way across with one seam. Now we have to make a casing for our elastic to go through, because there's elastic that goes through that feeds right through here, and then we're going to have the ruffle on top. So now we have to go through and we have to make the casing. So what you're going to do is, now I'm going to use 1/4 inch elastic. I have I don't know if anybody has a bunch of this left over from the mask ordeal. I made hundreds of masks and I couldn't find elastic. So there for a while I was buying up elastic anytime I could find it. I was like ordering it. If I could find it, I bought it, and then like I would order more from Amazon. So I have a lot of this 1/4 inch elastic. So that's just what I'm going to use. I think it works fine. The pattern that I saw called for 1/2 inch elastic. So you can get that if you prefer. But this is what I have. So this is what I'm going to use. I'm just going to make sure I sew this really well, you know, when I sew it together. So what I'm going to, the pattern called for to sew 1 inch, your seam right here, to sew up 1 inch. So you're making a casing for your elastic right here, and then this will be open. So I'm going to sew probably 3/4 of an inch because I want to be able to get my pin through. I'm going to use a safety pin to feed my elastic through. So I'm going to, about 3/4 of an inch, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to measure, but I mean, you can measure if you want. I'm just going to gauge it on my sewing machine, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to make just stitch all along this about 3/4 up from the other seam, and I'm going to go do that right now. Okay, now here's the most difficult of this whole pattern. Okay, can you see where I've got my casing right here? I'm going to thread my elastic through there. So this will be open, and that's what will make the ruffle effect on the top of the neck. So I'm going to cut a piece of 8 inch of elastic. 8 inches. So both ends are open. You haven't sewn anything shut. I'm going to take a safety pin and I'm just going to pin my elastic to one end of, pin the pin to one end of the elastic, just like this. Pin it through, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to start pushing the elastic through this casing. Now this is, you got to make sure you keep a hold of this tip. You could even possibly use another pin. I think that's what I'll do because it's so difficult. So what I'm going to do is take another pin and I'm just going to pin the other end of the elastic to the fabric, so I won't lose my end. Okay, so now I'm going to take and I'm going to feed this elastic through this casing. So you just work the elastic through. Gets kind of snug because you got a lot of fabric to go through. Just keep feeding the elastic through. Like I said, this is not the fun. This is the not fun part. Almost there. Starting to shape up like a dress. All right. Now we have both ends of the elastic through. All right. So here's the part. You got to keep hold of this elastic. Keep hold of the ends of the elastic, because if you let loose of the elastic, you're liable to lose it all and it'll just go right back through and you'll have to weave it through again. So I have both of it, pins on both ends of it. So I won't lose it. Okay. So now push the ruffles if you can. So I've got both my ends of elastic hooked to safety pins. So now I'm going to go, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this around, put these right sides together. So front sides together, and we're just going to line this up. You can even put a pin in if you want at this point to kind of hold it. We're going to sew the dress together. And when we sew down there, it's going to catch this elastic and it will sew up the dress. So you start at the top. You're going to start at the top of the seam and you're just going to sew down, sewing those seams together all the way down. You're going to catch this elastic. Now I go front and backwards over this elastic, 3 or 4 times just to make sure that catches real well. So once we do that, our dress is going to be almost done. So I'm going to go and I'm going to start sewing right here all the way down. Okay, I've sewn that up, and that really works where you put these pins, hook these pins to this elastic, because when you're sewing, you can just hold your pins out. Get it back here so you can see. Hold your pins out so you can just sew right over that and it catches the elastic. And then, now that we have that, we can just snip off those ends. Take the pins out. These are big pins. These are like quilting pins, I think, where they're kind of crooked. I like them. So I'm going to cut the ends of the elastic off, cut my threads off. That's the worst thing. All these threads, I feel like I have so many threads. So now, the top of our dress is done. So can you see where I've sewn that seam? Okay. Now you can turn it around. And at this point, you can try it on your goose if you want. It's always nice to see something completed, almost completed. I like it. straighten up the ruffles. Okay, there we go. Now we have the bottom. So there's different ways you can do the bottom. You can just take it and hem it, or you can add lace to it, or you can even add another piece of fabric. So if you want to just hem it, if you're going to stop here, which is absolutely fine because it's pretty on its own, what we do is take it and fold it under, and you're going to fold it under twice, because if you just fold it under once, when it's going to fray. These threads are going to fray. But if you fold it under and then fold it under again, you're going to have a nice, pretty seam that does not fray. Okay? So, I think I'm going to add some fabric to mine. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to add some of this blue fabric at the bottom. And I've ironed it, which it's not the greatest. I think this is a little bit of polyester fabric, so it doesn't want to iron up very well. But I think it'll be okay with these ruffles. So, what I'm going to do, see, it's not all real straight. I'm going to fold it. Sometimes it's easier to cut strips when you fold it, which I love fabric, and I know sometimes there's been a couple times I've been to like bought out some like estate fabric, and I think that's what a piece of this is. So see, I have the straight edge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this one more time, so when I cut my strips, I'll be able to cut right through. So I think I'm going to make these strips 3 inches. I'm not going to worry about the edges at this point. So I've got this folded. I'm going to make 3-inch strips. So, my glasses. I'm just going to use this to measure out the 3 inches. And then I'll keep doing this, make sure I get this right, and don't, I can see the line. Okay, I better do one more. I want to sew these all together to make the, it's going to look like kind of like a lace trim. So I'm just going to cut these down. Like I said, I'm not a perfectionist in sewing. I just like to enjoy myself. So I know some people would be making this more particular. So I have my strips. I'm going to cut the ends to make them straight. And I'm going to make sure when I sew these together, I'm going to have the right directions. Okay, so I'm going to cut the ends off so they're all straight. Now, I'm going to take these to the sewing machine, and I'm going to just sew these together. I'm going to sew these together, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I'm going to add this to the bottom of the dress. Okay, I have my strips sewn together. I have this all sewn together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dress, and I'm going to take the top, I'm going to take the right side. These are going to be right sides together, okay? So I'm going to figure out where I'm going to start. I'm not going to start in the back. I think I'll start just anywhere. It doesn't really matter. But you don't want it to be in the front because you're going to have overlapping seams. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put these right sides together, And I'm going to put, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have this fabric laying down like this. And then I'm going to start with this. I'm going to make sure I have the right side down. I'm going to start sewing just down like that. And then I'm going to sew so far, and then I'm going to gather it up just like that and make a little gathering. Let's see if I can do a couple. And I'm just going to work my way around the dress so I have gathered all. So then we'll flip this over when we're done, and this will be on the inside of the dress, and then we'll have like a ruffled effect. So I'm going to go and I'm going to sew that on now. I know I'm not showing much detail. When I can get my sewing machine where I can get my camera to it, I'll try to show you in more detail how to go about this. But I'm going to go do that right now. Okay, I have my ruffle added. Now if you can see the bottom of see how I just laid it down? I started right there. I started right here. And I just started going around, and I sewed a little bit, and then I just kind of laid it on top of each other and sewed it. So now we have this nice, pretty ruffle, and it's not perfect, but it's pretty. I think it's pretty. So now we'll flip that over. And what I'm going to do to make sure that stays down is I'm going to go and I'm going to push this seam up. And then I'm going to just make a top stitch all along here, and that will hold this ruffle down in place. So if you want to do a ruffle, let me show you what this is going to look like. I love these ruffles, and it's so much cheaper to get some fabric than it is to buy like lace. See how much that added to it? I think it's so pretty. I like it. I like it. Like it. Like it. Okay. Also at the end, when I got to the end. So I started out here. This piece already had a selvage, so I didn't have to worry about it. But this piece here would have frayed. So what I did was I just took it and I folded it under twice and then just sewed it down so it won't fray. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this bottom ruffle and I'm going to do just like, pretend like we're going to hem like we were going to hem. I'm just going to fold it under twice to get the seam so it doesn't fray. And then I'm just going to hem the ruffle just like I would if I was doing the dress, but I'm going to go hem the ruffle now. Okay, the dress is done. Get ready to put it on the goose. I think it's so pretty. I just love these ruffles and the fullness of it. So just put it over the head, and there we go. And see, we already ironed it, so we don't really have to, even though we did mess with it while we were sewing, we don't really have to worry about ironing it again. See how pretty it is? And how it hangs so nice and full. And, you know, if you have a 28, 29, I have a 29-inch concrete goose. And so I need to make things longer. Now this will fit around the neck. Perfect. It would probably even fit like a 17-inch. So if you'd want to make, for the 29-inch, you just might make the fabric longer. You know how we made 15 inches? So you might do like, let's see, 15, so maybe 18, 19 inches, even 20 inches. Or you could make your ruffle longer. Now the other option you might do is, if you didn't do a fabric ruffle like I did, is if you have some lace. Let's see, where's some lace? Find some lace. I'm not sure. I'll have to find some lace. Anyway, okay, the other option is if you don't do a fabric ruffle, and if you don't want to hem it, you can put some lace on the bottom. So you would just take the lace and you would just sew it on along the bottom hem, and you'd have that. But I just love this fabric look. I just think it's so pretty. Okay, so I think tomorrow I'm going to do a easy bonnet pattern. But I have a question for everyone. So my mom and I both do things, and she is much more meticulous with things. Like, she is very, very particular. She takes more time. But I have a question. So, like, she thinks that we should change the thread to match everything. I have a question. So, what's your thoughts? Do you think the thread has to match? Now, on this, I did go ahead and change my thread, and I used blue thread to finish the hem on this. But I sewed it everywhere else with white. To me, if you're trying to make bulk, so I use a lot of just white. Okay, the difference is, like with this dress, where it has the white bottom. So I know it looks better, but I suppose, are you willing to pay more for that extra time that it takes to do all these little extra details? Just curious. I'm just curious about everybody's thoughts. But I hope you like this dress, and I hope you will make your own. And please like and subscribe and comment. I would love to hear your thoughts, and it'd be nice to see. I've got a Facebook group also, Lacy Threads Upcycled, and it'd be great for you to share your pictures there. Thank you. I hope everybody comes back and watches the next video.